I'm Warren Sonoda, Canadian filmmaker and national president of the DGC. What a year 2020's been. And the AFC was there to help keep the lights on for so many folks in Canada's entertainment industry. Donate and get involved at afchelps.ca, and happy 2-1.
Hollywood producers and studios are always looking for authentic and original voices out of Canada.
The CCA was built specifically to help propel companies like these and their projects into the U.S. market.
One thing that buyers in the U.S. in Hollywood are thinking about is, can all these concepts travel?
What you're getting is a new voice that already has a depth of experience.
They're buying things that they want to have work in every market around the world.
Giving these companies a real chance to grow is one of the ways we hope that the government is showing that we're ready to tackle systemic racism in the media and entertainment industry.
They were looking for some lunch and getting pretty grumpy.
You're going to ruin our name in our community.
Because of their unique and different experiences, they can bring an authentic voice and they can bring a new perspective.
He wanted children to learn how to deal with their emotions and their feelings and learn that they can change their emotions and their feelings.
These Canadian creators are so well developed. You are not having to come in and do very basic, training or knowledge sharing with a lot of creators. They've already been working potentially for decades in some cases.
Trying to dig down and say, what is the best version of what that story is, and how are we going to approach it with buyers, and how are we going to sell that?
And telling the story of what it means to be Canadian in this moment and beyond. You all are a part of that.
Before we begin, I just want to acknowledge that I'm speaking to you from Los Angeles, the traditional home of the Tongva people, and we are indebted to the Tongva people for being caretakers of this land for generations. Hi everyone, I'm Zabe Sheikh. I'm Canada's Consul General here in Los Angeles, serving Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona. Thanks for joining us today to discuss the Canadian Creative Accelerator, a new initiative of ours here at the Consulate. The goal of the CCA is to help Canadian producers and creators meet the decision makers in Los Angeles and gain a fuller understanding of what works in this market and how to really catalyze their projects in this market and, of course, internationally. Our inaugural edition launched in the fall of 2020 through the pandemic, of course. Today, you're going to be hearing a discussion from some of those participants from our first cohort. The second cohort of the CCA is taking place January, February, and will be ending in March. This edition is focused on creators from the BIPOC communities. That is Black content creators, Indigenous content creators, and other content creators of color. The participating companies in this cohort are Playing with Crayons from Ontario, Spoken Song Productions from Ontario, Inferno Pictures from Manitoba, Big Bad Boo Studios from BC, Resolution Pictures from Quebec, and Flirt Films from Quebec. Félicitations and congratulations. I'm really also excited to announce the application for our upcoming Spring Accelerator program. This CCA cohort will be in support of French language producers working in television. The focus will be on working with producers to export their formats of their programs to an international market through the US, of course. So please check us out at CanCGLA on Twitter or email us for more details. The new reality, of course, is that we're all doing things virtually, and I'm pleased to join you virtually, but I'm hoping that we get to meet in person and be in person very soon. So stay safe, be well, and thank you.
Hello, and welcome to PrimeTime Online. I'm Matt Oppenheimer. I'm a trade commissioner at the Consulate General of Canada in Los Angeles, and I'm excited to be moderating today's session on exploring the Canadian Creative Accelerator. This conversation will provide some insight into the program that the Consulate has launched last fall, and that will be taking place for the next little while. Speaking with some participants from our first edition, and excited to just get the conversation underway. So before we get started, I'd like to just acknowledge the Trade Commissioner Service as a presenting partner for today's session. and thank PrimeTime Online for having us as part of this event. So without further delay, let's get started. We have 3 participants from our first session last fall, as I mentioned: Mary Clements, Trish Dolman, and Francois Trudel. So I will start on the West Coast here with Trish Dolman and throw it over to her to introduce herself.
Thanks, Matt. Happy to be here. Had a great experience with the Canadian Creative Accelerator. My name, as Matt said, is Trish Dolman. I'm the president and founder of Screen Siren Pictures. We are a 24-year-old Vancouver-based independent production company, and am very pleased to have participated in the program with Marie Clements and a project we're doing together called Bones of Crows that Marie wrote and is the lead producer on and is directing for the CBC. So over to you, Marie.
Hi, everyone. My name's Marie Clements. I'm from Marie Clements Media. Trish and I and another producer named Sam Grana, we're working on a 5-part psychological drama called Bones of Crows about a Cree matriarch who is also a Cree code talker in World War II and continues her fight against racism and systemic starvation and sexual abuse. Bones of Crows is just unfolds over 150 years. And it's the first TV dramatic series that looks at the residential school experience from an Indigenous lens. Honored to be here. Thank you.
Great. And Francois.
Yes, hi, my name is Francois Trudel. Happy to be here. Had a great experience with this first initiative. I'm from Groupe PVP. We're a 30-plus-year-old company. I'm the co-owner and vice president. We have 4 main divisions. So we do documentaries, we do animation, games, and fiction. Within the initiative, I was here with an animation project. It's an environment biodiversity animation series called Cosmo the Dodo Bird from a very successful collection of books here in Quebec.
Thank you very much. So the CCA is a high-intensity service program that we've developed here at the consulate based on, the accelerator model that you see a lot of the time in the tech world. We ran it with a combination of intensive sprint weeks. We had 4 in total in the fall, coupled with some mentorship from experienced hands based in LA in the TV industry. And the goal is really to try and be able to provide to Canadian companies through the Trade Commissioner Service an elevated level of service that really kind of connects them with decision makers, helps them understand the landscape in Los Angeles, and fulfill the Trade Commissioner Service end goal, which is helping Canadians do more business abroad. And so while I can go on for this for hours, the whole point here is to talk with some of the participants and see what their experience is like. So as you were the last to finish off, Francois, why don't we go back to you? And if you could tell us a bit about your experience in the program and what your take on the whole 3 months program was.
Well, it was pretty intense, but it was also, I would say it went beyond my expectations. So the team at the consulate was great. The participants, my colleagues on the initiative were great. It really, I think, generally speaking, it fast-tracked my business development in Los Angeles for at least a year or 2, meeting with all these different people. And what was really interesting in the initiative is that the range of the participants that came in was going from writers, lawyers, studio execs, showrunners, and I forget some. So it was really interesting because it gave us a very good portrait of the ecosystem in Los Angeles, which is notably different than the Canadian entertainment industry. So having done a lot of co-production, international official treaty co-production in the past, it was interesting to see to have a very better understanding of that environment.
Excellent. Thank you, Francois. Marie and Trish, if you could share some of your thoughts on the program.
Marie, you want to go?
I was just really excited to be in the mix. we're looking to break, glass ceilings, and we're looking for like-minded people who are willing to, become champion, what our creative work. And also just kind of that kind of networking that you can't get sitting in Vancouver. Just that one-on-one or this Zoom community that we're all building across, from Vancouver to LA, but, globally. So I think it was exciting to see, what other creators were up to, what's really hitting, how can we, fine tune what we're doing to make it more accessible to bigger audiences. So it was really just getting that, just really having a boost and an inspiration to continue, the work that we're doing and getting it out there in a way that we believe it should. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I just want to say, Matt, that I think you and Zabe and then Tara, who you brought in as an advisor, just did a really excellent job with the program. And like Francois, it exceeded my expectations. Over my career, I've participated in a lot of these kind of things, delegations to different countries. And of course, during the pandemic, it's all over Zoom. But it was extraordinarily well curated, a lot of great people. Wonderful to hear from so many other Canadian participants, what they're doing, what other producers and creators are up to, what stage they're at with their projects. And then, we work in an industry that's really about relationships and relationship building. And I think particularly here in Vancouver, we're in the same time zone as LA. So we pay a lot of attention and have close connections to LA. And I feel really incredibly well supported by the Canadian Consulate in LA. So thank you for that. But it was a really great program to just focus on more relationship building. So we met a lot of new people. We were already talking to Endeavor Content about representing the project. They participated in this. And then through the course of this program, concluded actually a deal with Endeavor Content, which is a pretty big deal for a Canadian series and good for the project's profile. And I think for Marie's profile as a screenwriter and creator. So that's exciting. And then just to get really honest insight to what's going on in the American market. And I think you brought in extraordinary people who just gave us the straight goods. I noticed that a lot of them were Canadian themselves. And so I think there was just a real affinity for amongst Canadians to help each other out, which I've often found in LA. And so it was a great experience. It was intense. Sprint maybe should have been more like a marathon each week. Because I think we were doing like 3 or 4 hours a day. So as with everyone, there's a lot of Zoom fatigue, but it was really excellent. And just, we made a lot of great contacts. I also thought the advisors were really good. Chris Fenton, you brought in as an advisor who was excellent. So yeah, very, very useful program. I just can't speak highly enough of it, to be totally honest.
Well, thank you. And, I think we all have a bit of that Zoom fatigue these days. Hopefully the folks watching are, we're going to keep this one short, so don't worry. But the Zoom fatigue is real. And we're, I think moving forward, we've taken all of your kind of advice and thoughts into it. And we're going to definitely tweak the kind of layout and the rollout of the sessions. But yeah, it definitely was intense at some points. But it's excellent to hear that you guys were all finding it positive or found it positive. And what would you say to somebody who's thinking of applying? Obviously, it seems like you had a good time, but any thoughts to folks who are looking at this and thinking about applying for what will be our spring and fall cohorts in 2021?
Well, I think it's the name accelerator, I think is really a testament to what this is, to what the initiative is to accelerate your endeavors in Los Angeles and the business contacts that you want to make there, and to expand your network. So of course, anyone who has some ambitions to develop that market and create a stronger network, and also develop better knowledge of how that ecosystem works. The accelerator, the Canadian Creative Accelerator, is a great vehicle to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I would say to people is definitely apply. If you have a, you know, this was focused on television series. I don't know if you're going to do other formats, but if you have a television series in develop already with a Canadian broadcaster, then I think we find ourselves in a unique position in Canada where we can develop scripts and raise a significant amount of the financing out of Canada that is very appealing to the international marketplace. So while not all of the people we met with were American, you know, there was someone from Sky that spoke, Gaumont and France, so there was also an international perspective, but really is a great program as a springboard to exposure for both yourself as a producer or creator, your company, and then your project. I definitely recommend everyone who can and qualifies should apply and take advantage of it. It's a great program. I'd love to hear from Marie more from a creative perspective, what she felt was advantageous.
Well, I think a lot of us are stuck in our rooms, you know, obviously because of what we're in, but also as creators, as writers, we're in rooms a lot. So I think what helps is to really get, you know, have another perspective on the other side of that and be able to hear what people, you know, what people are hearing about your project and what resonates for them. And I think, you know, we're trying to make those connections. So it's kind of invaluable to be able to speak to that, to understand what other people are creating, and also how you can get from A to B. You know, because we're always trying to, it's great to be in a room writing, but you want what you're developing and what you're passionate about to get to the end goal, which is to be produced. So I think it was just really great to ride on that energy, but also just to get the information of how people really think about, you know, how you're going to get from A to B. And sometimes we don't know that. You can't always read that on a website. So it's really great to talk to people that are just really down to earth and very clear about what they know and how it works. So fantastic, thank you.
Yeah, and Marie, to your point there, I felt like a lot of the people we spoke to would be telling us, we would hear different things from different folks to get to the same endpoint. And that was, you know, many ways to get to Rome, which is not the expression, but I'll just stick with it. So there's a lot of, you know, different ways to get these shows done. And it was cool to see, you know, an agent versus a creative executive versus a writer's kind of view on that. And one of the things you were saying before, Trish, also to anybody who can apply, you would recommend, I was going to use that as a segue to kind of hone in on what the creative accelerators, the parameters for the work with the Trade Commissioner Service are essentially a company registered in Canada and an ability to do business abroad. And, you know, that is for the Trade Commissioner Service writ large. And something that I would be remiss to not mention is that, you know, we work with people outside of the Canadian Creative Accelerator element here. The Trade Commissioner Service works with all Canadian companies. And so that is something to just keep in mind for folks who trying to connect and look for more options to learn and understand and try and grow in LA. So, you know, guys covered, we could go into a lot more detail, but I want to make sure we don't go on forever. But, you know, maybe if I could get a closing thought from you all about maybe something that was an unexpected benefit that came from it, or an unexpected element that you thought was positive, and anything you want to just kind of close out the session with. Marie, why don't we start with you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess to be really honest, I was really encouraged that other people in the business, whether it be casting or agents or producers or big companies, that they're actually interested in Indigenous work, that they're interested in diverse work, and that's becoming a real thing that has an economy, a creative economy, not just in Canada, but you know, North American wide and hopefully globally. So I was really encouraged to hear those words because it hasn't often been that way, or not as often as we like. So Masicho, thank you.
Trish.
Yeah, I think I would echo what Marie said. You know, I think 2020 was a game changer in a lot of ways. So I think now really looking forward to the implementation of a lot of ideological shift, and was really encouraged to see that, you know, hearing people say in LA that they used to track like 40 companies. And you can imagine who those 40 companies were run by, that they've thrown that tracking list out the window and are looking more globally and you know, across to Canada for content and for creativity. So that's super encouraging. I mean, I think as we ride out this pandemic, there's always shifts. But what I found actually surprising, you know, I've already said just the quality of the speakers, but what I really liked actually was just hearing from all the other producer participants what they're up to across Canada, because we're not traveling, we're not seeing each other at festivals right now, we're not just running into people and hearing what they're doing. So that kind of camaraderie that a program like this creates, where you know, I'm really looking forward to seeing what all the other projects, what their next steps are and how they benefited. So that was a pleasant surprise, aside from, you know, the own networking and contacts and movement on our project. That was great as well.
Thank you.
Everything has been said. Pragmatically speaking, you know, concrete results came out of that initiative for us. You know, the animation project is under review and has, you know, got some interest from a major studio. We were able to open up a discussion with a manager to represent us in Los Angeles. We have another animation studio in Los Angeles that would be interested in working with us. So, I mean, it did produce concrete results that we can work with, and that will help with the you know, expansion of our business development in Los Angeles. And I just want to maybe finish on putting the emphasis on the fast tracking that this has provided to what we were already starting, you know, in the last 2-3 years. We started to go to Los Angeles a little bit more and started to, you know, develop our business over there. But this just fast tracked it for at least 2-3 years in 2 months. So, and again, the quality of the participants, as Trish said, but also the range from agents, from managers, from showrunners, directors. I mean, it was pretty impressive. And at the same time, we just landed with a lot more knowledge of that ecosystem and how that industry works. So I think, I would leave you guys with that.
Amazing. Well,
I totally agree.
That was our goal. And I'm glad that it came across. You know, we're going to be expanding, hopefully, into other sectors beyond TV. We have plans for a film cohort and a music cohort in the coming months and years. And on that, documentary, perhaps. I mean, we haven't focused exactly on what the niches will be at this point. We're still kind of keeping it wide, but yeah, I mean, obviously, you know, Canada and documentaries there's incredible documentary creators and producers, and Trish, you know, coming out of Canada. And yeah, so we've launched our second cohort. It's starting it's already started this winter. And it's focused exclusively on producers and creators from BIPOC communities in Canada. That's taking place virtually, and unfortunately, we're going to be virtual for a while longer. But we're launching our applications for the third cohort. Today, you can go check out the consulate's Twitter, CanCGLA, for more details on that. And we'll have links available on the web to kind of get into the details there. And we hope you can apply, and we really, you know, want to keep bringing amazing Canadian producers and creators to the decision makers here in LA, because we just have so many amazing stories to tell and so many great creators. You know, it's what we're here for. So thanks again to Trish, Marie, Francois, And your guys' time discussing the CCA today. It's great to connect again, and thanks to all the participants on the delegates participating with PrimeTime Online. And the Trade Commissioner Service again is here to serve and kind of help Canadians do business abroad. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us on that front. And finally, don't forget to keep checking back to PrimeTime's website to watch any of the great content that's been published throughout the event that you might have missed. There's some great stuff in there. So without going on anymore, I'd like to thank everybody and thank our participants, and hope we can do this in person sometime soon. Take care.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt.